Last week, a new trailer and a bunch of artwork and character renders dropped for The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes, showing off the game's story and dungeons, as well as a bunch of costumes, characters, and items, and more. I mean, we've got Hammer Bros costume, Ice Climbers, even a Minecraft-style Toon Link. According to the trailer, the game will be broken up into 8 areas with 4 stages each, and we got to look at a new stage, which seems to be a sort of ice cavern, thanks to another batch of screenshots. You can check out the new trailer and all the new images at Gamnesia.com. There's also a glimpse at the story of the game, which, as I understand, the princess is really beautiful, and the villain of the game puts a magical curse on her where she can only ever wear a black leotard, and that, for some reason, is the story and the reason that the kingdom needs saving.
It makes the king cry.
That is the most tragic backstory
Is
I've
Nintendo
ever
even
heard in my
trying
life.
to write stories anymore?
Or is Nintendo even trying to make a Zelda game?
Ooh, those are fighting words, Alex.
Zing.
It's a proper
Whoa,
burn.
is that a lead into your
Yeah, I mean, not really. Setting aside my distaste for this game, I'm actually a pretty huge fan of some of the more traditional costume designs, the ones that kind of look like they would belong in a Zelda game, which is surprising given that I'm not a fan of most of the artwork. But there's one outfit that looks kind of like an ornate blue version of Link's standard tunic, which is kind of really neat and makes me want them to experiment more with the Link tunic look. And there's also one that looks kind of like a Jester's outfit, which I think is very appropriate for the world of Zelda and looks really cool on Link and makes me want them to have outfits in Zelda Wii U as long as they aren't all ridiculously silly. Not a fan of the off-the-wall ones like...
You don't like the cheerleader?
Like the cheerleader or the Sentai soldier. But there's
Lollipop chain ball.
Oh god. Goddesses. But there's some neat crossover ones which I actually found were pretty cool, like the Hammer Bros and like the Ice Climbers, and there's a Darunia one which was was nice. That kind of stuff is fun, but no cheerleader.
Yeah, I agree with all those points, Alex. I keep wanting to be excited for this game because I really liked Four Swords Adventures. I thought it was a pretty fun party type game, but every time I see footage of this, it's just like gimmicky puzzle after gimmicky puzzle and not enough combat. And it feels like it's going to get really old to me really fast, just based on what we played at E3, the three of us.
Yeah.
And I feel like the balance of, not just puzzle, but the balance of gimmicky puzzle to combat is not
And the
where
gimmicks
I want it.
are part of the combat. That's
Yeah,
what blows
exactly.
my mind.
I mean, it's really odd to me looking at this game, which seems, by all accounts, to be a spin-off in the same way that, like, Four Swords was, Four Swords Adventures. It looks like it's supposed to be a spin-off, but yet Nintendo seems to be promoting it, for the most part at least, as if it's like a full main entry in the core series, and the amount of content in the game seems to be going in that direction as well. But the mechanics, the gimmicky ideas, honestly, just the overall quality of the game experience, in my opinion, just does not seem like it's supposed to be a full-on Zelda.
And it's depressing given that it's been almost 2 years since A Link Between Worlds, which was given it was a very derivative of A Link to the Past, but it was a very much a full game. And I would have loved to see them try to tackle that kind of sort of open world-ish 2.5D Zelda experience, but with a new world that's not so derivative.
Absolutely.
That's not what we got.
Well, but I mean, I to be fair, I think it seems to me, and I could be totally wrong, but it seems to me like this started development as like a spin-off sort of idea, and then they just decided to make it bigger and bigger and promote it more. I don't think this is at all supposed to be the next core Zelda game, so I don't feel like it's quite fair to treat it that way. I'm just having a hard time reconciling what Nintendo actually wants this to be versus what it actually feels like to play, because God knows it's not going to be as good as the main Zelda adventures, but at the same time I feel like I don't feel just in criticizing the game for not being that, because I don't think it's supposed to be that.
Yeah, I mean, we did get Majora's Mask 3D this year, and there's going to be another mainline Zelda next year, probably. So they, like you said, they probably weren't thinking of this at all as a successor. But at the same time, it is, a Legend of Zelda branded title. This isn't even like a Hyrule Warriors type spinoff where they don't even put the Legend of Zelda in the name.
Yeah, and I don't fault it for not being I mean, it's technically a main series entry, but I don't fault it for not being like a AAA Zelda.
Well, yeah, but so is
experience.
the original Four Swords.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is, I'd be perfectly fine with it being like Four Swords Adventures. My complaint is really just the extreme focus on gimmicky puzzles. If it was a little more combat focused, maybe a little bit more exploration focused, I'd be perfectly fine, and I'd be super pumped to have this, spin-off Zelda. But as it is right now, I can't get excited for it.
Yeah.
Are you guys people who both didn't like Four Swords Adventures?
I love Four Swords Adventures.
I love Four Swords
Really?
Adventures.
Yep.
I thought the puzzles were gimmicky, but actually the combat's pretty all right. I don't necessarily like the stage approach, but I thought the way that they took on sprite artwork and sort of classic style gameplay was interesting.
So your frustration with Triforce Heroes then is that it goes too hard on the combat as puzzles kind of thing?
It's more coming off A Link Between Worlds. This is not at all anything I would have ever wanted to play or ask for. I thought we were done with the Four Swords style co-op. I see. I thought Nintendo.
So me and Alex are each upset about completely different things.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Nintendo made a valiant effort with Four Swords, but I thought they were done, and I thought they were moving on to maybe some more modern way of doing co-op that isn't based on that whole Game Boy Advance connectivity experiment.
Okay.
But that's not at all what we're getting. We're not getting a full-fledged Zelda with co-op. We're getting a co-op game that happens to have a Zelda skin on top of it.
Okay. Now, to be clear, you're not faulting Triforce Heroes for that, right? Because that sounds to me like an expectation of something that we're not getting, and then faulting the thing that we're getting.
I'm
for not
faulting
being
the
that.
fact that they thought this was a game that was worth making.
Ouch. All right.
I'm
Alex
just
is
going right
I
below
won't
the belt
say
and saying this is a bad idea.
I won't prod any further.
I think economically it's a bad idea because Four Swords Adventures, sold terribly.
Yeah.
But gameplay-wise, I'm fine with another Four Swords style game. I just don't feel that this is it.
This is it. I see.
Yeah, I think this falls short of the mark.
All right.
Interesting.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for listening to this Nintendo Week clip, NWC. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to us here on YouTube for more highlights and discussion videos from Nintendo Week podcast, or subscribe to us on iTunes for weekly breakdowns of all your Nintendo news, discussion segments on subjects, games, and more, and tons of other features. Thanks for listening, and we will see you tomorrow with another NWC.